أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Alrighty, so today we have some exciting verses to cover, and they are the verses of Siyam, alhamdulillah. And we know that around the corner is Ramadan, and it's a very pertinent time to discuss these ayat and remind ourselves of the purpose of Siyam and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for us through it, and inshallah, just preparing ourselves spiritually for it. Okay, so let's hope this will be a discussion like last time, inshallah. I want all of your participation, and that way we can benefit from each other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Right, O believers, it's a call to all of us. Fasting has been prescribed to you just like it was prescribed to those before you. And why has this been prescribed? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may become conscious, right? Adopt consciousness, so that you may be mindful, so that you may adopt taqwa. Okay, so what was the discussion that we learned in tafsir about what siyam is? What is the technical or the literal meaning of siyam? Anybody know?
Siyam is to like refrain from something, and I think is also another word. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Yeah.
perfectly.
I think the literal mean is another word is imsak, to stop and refrain from doing something. Is
Okay.
it? Yes.
Exactly, to restrain, to hold back. And did she discuss the meaning of sa'im? What a sa'im is? Did she discuss the meaning? So it refers to a horse. Did she mention that?
Yes. Is it akhaynun siyamun? Is it?
Sa'im. What
Sa'im,
kind
yeah.
of horse is this?
So it's a horse that is like standing and it's not sitting down, and it's tied up and it doesn't have the freedom to go out. And anyway, so the Arabs used to train the horses for battles, and in deserts and bad weather in the desert, and keep it hungry and thirsty. So to build up the like strong stamina, and
Stamina.
yeah.
Very good.
So yeah. So develop
Exactly.
endurance and everything. Yeah.
Build its endurance and stamina. So to restrain or keep the horse from its regular meals in order to train it for battle, right? And endurance and increase its stamina. So that's so very, very profound when you think about fasting and how the reason behind controlling yourself, and this control is actually supposed to make us stronger. So I'm wondering, how can depriving yourself of food and drink is what gives you strength, right? This is what we understand. How can depriving yourself from food and drink be the means of increasing our stamina? How's that possible? How does that work?
So we all probably have bad habits and things like that. So when we're fasting, we stay away from all those bad habits. And as we carry on doing that, we'll probably get into a habit of where we don't go back to those bad habits.
Okay. Yeah.
So like basically controlling our nafs, which that we're inclined to. Um, so like so we stop a person from wanting to do those habits.
Okay. Very good. I loved how you compared it to controlling your nafs, right? And so the thing about our nafs, which is like this internal thing we have that wants to, fulfill desires and acquire comfort and luxury and entertainment, all of these things, right? When we continue to feed the nafs, when we continue to give it what it wants, indulging in comforts and all of those things, it actually weakens the nafs. It weakens the resolve. It weakens the strength, the discipline, the focus. SubhanAllah. So the more we feed our nafs by just giving into our even halal desires, right? I'm not even talking about like haram desires. I'm talking about like halal desires, like eating too much, sleeping too much, relaxing too much comfort, too much luxury. It weakens us, subhanAllah. And why does that? What happens is that when we are asked to do something, like stand up for prayer 5 times a day, do this, do that, we feel lazy, subhanAllah. So what Siyam does, right? It gives us the tools to train and discipline our nafs, and in order for it to increase in its strength and its stamina. And why do we need to increase in our strength and stamina? To fulfill the purpose for which we've been created, right? To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With a weak nafs, how are we supposed to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to do? Right? So this is like I'm sure she's explained it much more detail, but like this is basically a training ground for our nafs. And it's very inspiring how, if think about it, like think about your own self when in Ramadan, how productive you are, right? It's really amazing how we're depriving ourselves of the regular food and drink that we think is supposed to give us energy. But in fact, depriving ourselves gives us more energy. Right? We're so like eager, we're sleeping less, we're eating less, we're doing so much, and you're like, where did this person come from? I haven't seen you all year, right? Subhanallah. And it's quite amazing how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put this in for us, yes, as a means to worship Him, but ultimately it's for our own benefit. It's ultimately for our own benefit, right? And He also consoles us that this has been revealed to those before you, so it's nothing new, right? If other people can do it before you, so can you. And what is the reason why Allah subhanahu has prescribed Siyam from the verse? What is this reason? If somebody asks you from your coworkers or your classmates or your neighbors or whoever, so why do you guys
Um,
fast? Yeah.
um, because it's the one of the best acts of worship,
Okay.
and its reward is with Allah. Like
Absolutely.
Allah, He determines it's there's for everything else there's a certain limit to it, but in Siyam it's between you and Allah,
Mm-hmm.
and He decides.
Absolutely. That is the absolute first answer that we're supposed to give. That it is an act of worship, and we are doing so in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command. Before it, above every other benefit. But for us, Allah's telling us now. He's not talking to the non-Muslims, he's talking to the believers here. He's like, what are we getting out of this? Why are we doing this? Of course, it's obedience of Allah, but what does it do to us?
To attain taqwa and have consciousness of the Allah, and to attain, you know, the best basically from Allah. We want to please Allah basically, and stay, keep ourselves sort of, refrain ourselves from all the habits. Yeah. So that's what I
Beautiful.
think.
You got it. Very simple, as this Halima also mentioned in the chat. لعلكم تتقون, so that you may become conscious, mindful people, right? And what is taqwa, by the way? What is taqwa? Anyone can tell me if somebody says, so you can have taqwa. Okay, what is taqwa?
It's like taqwa. But taqwa comes from wiqaya, which is called a shield, which is a shield, and so shield is like you protect yourself. Um, yeah, so protect yourself from sins and things like that, and to attain Jannah.
Okay, beautiful. You're protecting yourself from the punishment and the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Sis Halima says to shield yourself from something you are scared of, in this case, Allah's displeasure. Perfect. And how do we do that? How do we get this characteristic? By doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked, as this Mani said, and refraining or staying away from that which He has prohibited us from. So this concept is a state of mind and heart, okay? And this concept is what fasting develops. So now the question is, how does fasting develop this mindfulness or this consciousness to stay away from the prohibitions and do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed us to do? How does fasting lead to it? I'm just not eating and drinking. How does that make me more mindful or increase my taqwa? What's the connection?
Could it be that I have like two kind of points? One is that you're getting rid of like eating and drinking, it actually takes up a lot of the time in our day. So when you get rid of those distractions, you have more time to think of what's important, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obedience to Him.
Okay, beautiful.
And the second is more like, I guess it goes with that point. It's like self-control. If you can stop yourself from eating and drinking, then you can stop yourself from the other bigger things. And that again is like you're being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Perfect, mashallah. You encapsulated both the literal and the applicable, technical definition of fasting. Exactly. So the horse analogy, right? You're straining yourself in order to make yourself stronger, to focus on the purpose, increase your endurance, all that stuff. But how does it increase this mindfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is that, as Sundus said at the second example, you're preventing yourself from what is halal. And I'm sure you've heard this so many times. You're preventing yourself from what is normally halal and permissible. So if you can do that, then what about that which is impermissible, right? And the haram, the haramat, that's the sins, the prohibitions. And we also know from different hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of our fasting, our leaving food and drink, if we're not leaving behind all the other sins as well. Like we're not protecting our eyes, we're not protecting our ears, we're not protecting our tongues. Then the fasting has not achieved its objective. The objective is that we're mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even in these little things, such that we can avoid the bigger things. So think about taqwa, like we learned to the previous ayat, right, of all of these things about the will last week and qisas and all of these things, and especially in the relations between human beings, how easy it is to try to wrong someone, right? How easy it is to try to take more than what is your right. How easy it is to try to harm people with ourselves, right? What is going to prevent us from doing those things? Like, what is going to prevent us from acting unjustly, taking more than our right in our dealings with others? What is going to stop all of this? There is nobody after us to say, oh, you have to do this, right? Who knows that I wronged someone or said something bad? Nobody. It's that we develop this consciousness of taqwa. This thing is what prevents us. This thing is what holds us back from disobedience, right? So it's training this aspect within us. And if after Ramadan we actually go back to our old habits of sin and disobedience and indulging in prohibitions, then fasting did not achieve its objective. Subhanallah. So we actually consciously have to rid ourselves of, as much as possible, right, of the things that have been chaining us down and holding us down, of sin and disobedience, things that we've been doing and we haven't had the chance to reform. Like, this is the time to let go of those habits, as this one was saying, right? And that when we come out of Ramadan, we actually have achieved its objective, which is to increase our level of taqwa. Taqwa has been described, I'm not sure how much depth she went into it. I'm sure we've covered this so many times earlier on, because actually Surah al-Baqarah is peppered with the word taqwa. If you will notice, so many ayat end with لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you'll be of the muttaqeen. Even in the first ayah, ألف لام ميم ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. So taqwa is described by, I believe, Umar radiallahu anhu, as I think we've also talked about this before. It's like you're walking through a thorny path, right? Imagine you're in a forest, you're walking through a path, and there's like thorns and like things on the ground that can harm you. How do you walk? How do you walk? How would you walk? Someone tell me. Would you like walk with your eyes closed?
You have to cut the thorn.
No, no,
And
imagine it's like littered with like thorns and things that might, rip at you, or yeah, exactly. Cautiously, very very, very, aware of where you're stepping. Every step you're taking, you're like checking, can I step here? You're holding your clothes together so that they don't rip and they don't get torn by the thorns around you, right? This is taqwa. So imagine this. This is how we're supposed to walk through life. That we have to be so mindful and careful that we don't step on the wrong place. We don't do the wrong thing. We hold ourselves together. We don't allow ourselves to just freely walk and this and that, do whatever we feel like, do whatever we want, because, we're going to get ripped at. The thorns are going to rip at us, So, and there's this beautiful poetry that one of the scholars, he wrote about this concept. And he said, basically, if you were to encapsulate what taqwa is, it is this mindfulness in order not to get hurt. And what is this in action items? The action item is do not sin, right? Do not do what is prohibited. Do not cross your limits, and try your best to do what Allah subhanahu has prescribed, right? So the poet said, خَلِّ الذُّنُوبَ صَغِيرَهَا وَكَبِيرَهَا ذَاكَ التُّقَى, right? Leave aside the sins, small and big, and that is taqwa, right? فَاصْنَعْ كَمَاشٍ فَوْقَ أَرْضِ الشَّوْكِ يَحْذُرُ مَا يَرَى. And walk over the thorny path. Walk like the one who is walking on a thorny path, who is careful of where he goes, right? What's the third line? لا تحقرن صغيرة إن الجبال من الحصى, right? And do not belittle even the smallest pebble, or even the smallest sin. Do not belittle the smallest sin. إن الجبال من الحصى, for verily the mountains are made up of pebbles, right? So the small sins can even accumulate into mountains. So how do we adopt taqwa? How do we develop this characteristic? Okay, is by being mindful, and fasting is supposed to help us develop this characteristic. Okay, and again, it's a litmus test for us too, to check that, how are we every day of fasting? How are we after fasting, right? Have we improved in this or not? Any thoughts about this ayah? If you guys want to add anything or comment. Sister Hasina, would you like to say anything about this ayah? Okay. All right. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about fasting. This month, أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَاتٍ. Fasting is a counted, numbered amount of days. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. So whoever is sick or ill from amongst you, or on a journey, then فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ, then upon him is to make up those fasts in other days. وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. And as for those who cannot endure, basically the fasting, then for them is a ransom or a fidya, which is feeding the miskin, the masakin, right? Food for a needy person. فَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. And whoever intends or voluntarily gives any good, then it is better for him. Okay? وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. And if you were to fast, then that is best for you or better for you. إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. If you only knew. Okay, so this ayah details for us some of the fiqh and the rulings of fasting. First thing we learned is that it is a limited number of days. I wonder why, what do you think is one of the wisdoms behind Allah mentioning that it is a limited number of days? What do you think? Why is that mentioned?
It's just Allah's giving us the reassurance that it's not going to be like for a long time, and the days are quite limited. Like, so people don't fall in despair like they have to fast all the time.
Very good. Allah knows our psychology, right? Better than we do ourselves. Yeah, this is supposed to give us that, okay, we got this. We can do it, right? Otherwise, people are going to start panicking. No way, I can't do this. I will not be able to do this. SubhanAllah. So Allah is giving us that reassurance, as this money said. And this is very interesting because if you ever want to try to start something like new, like a good habit, or stop something even, leave a bad habit, your brain or your whatever nafs goes into like panic mode. It's like, no, I can't do it. There's no way I can do this. I can't leave this, right? Think about like things that we do generally, like, oh, I'm going to stop eating sugar, for example, or do something similar like that. Like your body goes panic. No way. This is not possible. Not going to be happening. And it won't be able, I can't continue this. Right? So one of the hacks to get your brain to listen to you is to convince it that you're only doing it for one day. Okay? And once you're like, you can only do it for one day, or not even one day. Let's say I'm only going to do it for 1 month. That's it. That's it. I'm only going to do it for a month. And after this month, I'm going to restart. I'm going to go back to it and no problem. Khalas, it's just a 1 month experiment. And subhanallah, once you get into that mode, you trick your brain and say, it's only for a month. Don't worry. We got day number 31. Khalas, you're back. Subhanallah, you will actually leave this thing. You will leave that bad habit. Or you will start that good habit. Because by that time, your nafs is already trained for it. And it doesn't become difficult anymore. So Allah SWT knows our psychology. And He knows we're going to panic because this is not possible for us to leave food and drink for this long. But it is possible. Allah knows what's possible for us. And we don't even know that about ourselves. SubhanAllah. So He makes us tap into the amazing potential that we actually have within us, right? But we have to get through these little nafs hacks. Anyway, so Allah says, for whoever is ill or on a journey, then they have to make up those days. So about this ayah, like it says here, وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. So for those who are unable to, or they have hardship upon them to fast, like for example, the terminally ill or the elderly, like the extremely elderly who cannot fast, then they can feed masakin, like poor people, for every day that they miss. And whoever voluntarily does good, then it is best for him. But whoever fasts, it is better for him, if you would only have known. So this ayah is giving me the idea that it's optional to fast. Is that true? أَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. If you fast, it's better. Meaning I have the option. I can maybe not fast and feed the needy. Is that possible? What's this ayat talking about? Someone explain.
What I say, should I mention what I think I know? I think at that time, it was like that. It was sort of, if you want to fast, you can, and if you can't, then just give the fidya on that. And I think later on it changed or something.
Good.
So yeah, that's what I understand from that.
Very good. So this ayah, or this part of the ayah rather, has been abrogated, right? To tell us that before, fasting was legislated, but it wasn't mandatory. Yani, you had the option to feed the needy for every day of fasting. But then that ayah, or this part of the ayah, was abrogated by the next ayah, the one we're going to take next, which made it obligatory for everyone to fast, unless this part is still applicable, عَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ, meaning those who are absolutely unable to do so, right? And we also learn how the sick and the traveler have an exemption, right? They don't have to fast in Ramadan if they are unable to because of those reasons, and they have to make up those days. So maridan, if I have a slight headache, or maybe, those little sniffles that, we get sometimes, is that a good enough reason to miss our fast? I'm sick.
No, you have to fast at a situation like that. It's fine. You can fast even if you're sick, like having headache and a mild flu.
Yeah. So any sickness that is going to be exasperated, is going to increase and get worse, and it's going to cause harm, then of course you have the exemption, right? But for those minor sicknesses that, we do everything else anyway. If we have to go to school, we go to school. If we have to go to work, we go to work. We have to do whatever we need to do, we do, right? Then of course that's not what is a part of this ayah. We still make an effort to fast regardless. Similar with travel, everyone who is traveling has the exemption. Of course, they can break their fast. There's no problem. But some people still choose to fast depending on how they feel. Okay, and again, they have to make up those days. Anything else about this ayah? وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And if we fast, it is better for us if you would know. So in case, let's say you are sick or you feel like, okay, I can still manage it, it's always best to go ahead and fast if it's not going to cause any adverse consequences. Any thoughts or questions or comments about this ayah? So I'm sure she talked more about the fiqh, about fidya and all that, and who it's applicable to and so on. So anyone? Yeah, so breastfeeding and pregnancy, they also fall under the making up of the fasts, meaning if they leave it, they need to make up those number of days. There is slight differences of opinion, but the majority say that they owe the number of days that they missed. Okay, and my favorite ayah, which is the next one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. This is the month of Ramadan, or it is the month of Ramadan, the one in which the Quran was revealed, هدى للناس, which is a guidance for mankind, وبينات من الهدى, and clear proofs of this guidance, والفرقان, and a clear distinguisher or criterion. So whoever witnessed فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ. So whoever witnessed this month, then he should fast. وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. And whoever is sick or on a journey, then the same number of days need to be made up. Beautiful. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah wants ease for you, facilitation, ease. وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. And he does not want to make things difficult for you. وَلِتُكْمِلُ الْعِدَّةَ. And so that you complete the number of days, وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. And so that you should glorify Allah for what He has guided you to. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. And so that you are grateful. So Shahru Ramadan, right? Ramadan is the only month that is actually mentioned by name in the Quran. Did you know that? So there are no other months mentioned by name except Ramadan. So it must be special, right? So how special is Ramadan? Who can tell me? What's so special about it and how special is it?
One of the reasons why I think it's mostly special is because the Quran was revealed during Ramadan, and I think the other books of Allah, I think the Injil and the other books were revealed in Ramadan as well. So which makes it special. It's the word of Allah basically. So yeah.
Beautiful. And what occurs in Ramadan? Something else that's pretty special that occurs in it. What occurs in Ramadan that is special? Sis Halima says the devils are chained, the doors of hellfire are closed, the doors of Jannah are opened. Absolutely. Yes, that is showing the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month. But what else does it contain? There's one special thing it contains.
Laylatul Qadr.
Very good. Laylatul Qadr, right? The night of decree, subhanAllah, and the night that, yes, Maisha also says that, the night that the Quran was actually revealed. So how do we understand that? الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ. We know that the Quran was revealed over 23 years. So how can we say the Quran was revealed in Ramadan? How do we answer that question? Okay, Sis Halima says was first revealed. Yes, that is one of the interpretations. That it was the night of Laylatul Qadr was the night that the Quran was first revealed, meaning the ayat Iqra, right? Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, revealed to the Prophet ﷺ was on Laylatul Qadr. So the revelation started in Ramadan. And another opinion is yes. So that's one opinion. Warda. So its beginning, the revelation began in Ramadan. And the other opinion is what? Okay, so it was revealed, all of it, from al-Lawh al-Mahfuz down to the first heaven. Okay? So that is one of the opinions of the scholars, that it was actually revealed. So it was revealed from al-Lawh, which is the preserved tablet near Allah, down to the first heaven. So it was revealed in entirety, and then after that it was revealed in parts over 23 years. But again, the revelation definitely was on the Laylatul Qadr. Okay, so how important is Laylatul Qadr? What's so special about Laylatul Qadr? I'm going somewhere with these questions, don't worry. Yes. Go ahead.
The night of power, and I'm completely out now. Your sins are forgiven. It's better than 80, I mean, for thousands, 80,000 years or something. I forgot. Sorry.
خير من ألف شهر.
Yes.
ألف شهر. ألف, 1,000, شهر, months. Okay, so the night of Qadr is better than 1,000 months in worship, and that rounds up to something around better than 1,000 months. So that rounds to more than 83 years is how they calculate it. Anyway, it's like a lifetime of a person, subhanAllah. And imagine your rewards are multiplied exponentially during this night, just one night. And overall, your rewards of ibadah are multiplied exponentially throughout the month of Ramadan. Okay? So now you're thinking like 1 equals like 1,000. Like imagine if you give, as they explain, if you give $1 in charity on Laylatul Qadr, it's like you've given charity for 83 years. SubhanAllah, by just giving $1. So imagine the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala magnifies the rewards during this month. Now the question is the month and this night, if it's so blessed, subhanAllah, right? The rewards are like just endless. Is it the night itself or Ramadan itself which causes it to be blessed? Does the month itself become blessed by itself? And the night blessed by itself? Sister Rashida says, what? So funny, Sister Rashida. No, of course Allah blessed it. 100% He blessed it. But what I mean is, if I say Ramadan, in and of itself, it's blessed. Yes, it is blessed. 100% it's blessed. But is it because it's Ramadan that it's blessed? Is it because it's Laylatul Qadr that it's blessed?
It is because the Quran is sent down in this.
Very good.
That's right.
Sister Samira, you got the answer. الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. This is the month in which the Quran was revealed. So by itself, it has no meaning. It's because of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down His guidance in this month is what magnifies its reward, subhanAllah. It's what blesses it. Meaning everything that the Quran touches becomes blessed. SubhanAllah. Just because the time itself, there's nothing special about the time. Time can happen at any time. But it's because the Quran was revealed on this date or time or month is what makes it blessed. SubhanAllah. Right? So imagine now, Ramadan is so amazing, so blessed, and is full of rewards, and Laylatul Qadr is so amazing, so blessed, and full of unimaginable rewards, all because the Quran was revealed in this time. So now what do you think about the people who connect with this great book? Right? If the purpose is the Quran itself that blesses everything it touches, that is the reason, right, for all of this ajr, all of this reward. So what about what you're doing right now? What are we doing? We are connecting with this book, this divine, blessed book that it touches a day and khalas, it's better than 1,000 months. Allahu Akbar. We don't truly understand the great value of this book that we have before us right now. That we are being given the privilege, the honor to study, to understand, to learn. SubhanAllah, every word that we go through is beyond imagination. And imagine if the day and the time has become so blessed and rewarded, what about our days and our time when we spend it with the Quran? What will happen to that? What will happen to our life if we spend it with the Quran? Do you see? We don't understand its value. We really don't. As they explain, right? The night is blessed because of the Quran. The month is blessed because of the Quran. The angel Jibril, alayhi salam, is blessed because he's the one who revealed the Quran. He brought the Quran down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself is blessed because he's the messenger who conveyed it. And now what about the ummah? Now what about us? Now what about the people who are trying to learn it, and study it, and read it? We need to value what is between us, between our hands, subhanAllah. We really need to value it. Allah says in other places in the Quran, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. Right? Say with the bounty and the grace and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and because of this, meaning this Quran, فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا, they should rejoice. You should be like jumping with happiness. Okay? هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. It is better than anything you can ever accumulate, ever gather, anything you could ever get for yourself. Better than it. Nothing better than this. SubhanAllah. Right? Imagine how our time will be blessed if we spend it with the Quran. Imagine how our life will be blessed. Imagine how our rizq will be blessed. Imagine how our everything, our relationships, our health, everything, if we truly value this book for what it is. Allah understand. That was a slight tangent, but I wanted to highlight this because the time itself is not of importance. It's the what was revealed in it, and as a result, this time became important. SubhanAllah. And Allah says, أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنُ هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ. This is your way of salvation. This is your guidance that's going to get you through this life and through the hereafter towards your main objective, right? Which is Allah's pleasure. And what does this guidance also contain? بَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى. It includes clear-cut evidences, proofs of this guidance. Meaning, yes, it's a guidance itself, right? This is the guidance, but it also includes rational and physical and all sorts of evidences to prove that this guidance is truly the guidance. SubhanAllah. Right? And we know that so many places in the Quran, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proves it. Wal-Furqan, and a criterion. So there are three adjectives, right? Huda, okay, Bayyinat, and Al-Furqan. And a criterion. So criterion is what differentiates between what is right and what is wrong, right? Morality differentiates between what is upright, what is immoral. It differentiates between what is prohibited and what is allowed, right? It differentiates what leads us to Allah's pleasure and what does not, and so on. So it is our absolute roadmap. It's our absolute survival guide in this life, right? One of our teachers, he explained the Quran's rule in a very beautiful way. He said, imagine you're lost in a desert. Okay. Imagine you're lost in a desert. You have nothing on you. You have no idea which direction to go to get out of this desert. You're going to die in this desert. Okay. And then subhanAllah, somehow you've been given a map or a roadmap or a survival guide or whatever, how to get through this desert in order to reach your destination, to get out of this place, right? And how to avoid the dangers of this desert, and how to protect yourself, and how to light a fire in order to, warm yourself, how to collect game or hunt or whatever it is to survive this desert. How would you treat this survival guide? What would you do with it? You'd be like, good information. Let me just throw it behind my back and continue. I'll figure it out. How would you treat this book? You would hang on to it with dear life. It is your way. It is your survival. Without it, we can't reach our destination. There's no way. Right? So this is the role of the Quran in our life. In any case, it's very interesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen this month for us to fast. Okay, this beautiful month in which the Quran was revealed and rewards are multiplied and Allah's mercy is open for us to take advantage of, right? He has told us, here, this month, you will fast. You will restrain yourself. You will grow. You will discipline yourself. Why? We want to be deserving of this beautiful guidance. We want to be deserving of this blessing that was given us in this month. And how can we do that? By restraining our shahawat, our desires, our unlawful desires, our trying to clean ourselves, purify ourselves. We can't just be the way we are right now and be given this beautiful book. Yes, we have been given, which is Allah's mercy, but we need to purify ourselves to be deserving of it, right? So Allah says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. So this part of the ayah is what abrogated the previous ayah. Whoever witnessed this month, he should fast. Whoever sees the moon of this month, Allah sees there, he has to fast. So this abrogated what went before. وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. So the repetition, that whoever's sick and on the journey, he should make up those days. Now question, what do you think is the wisdom of this repetition? If it's already been mentioned before, why repeat it here again?
Now you don't have a choice. You have to fast. So it's obedience, I think, and it's a magical thing to make
The
it.
second part, this part, about the sick and on a journey. That's already mentioned before. So what is the wisdom of the repetition here?
Oh, the second one.
So like even though it is compulsory, still the rulings the same.
Very good. So the clarification that this part of the ruling is still there. Okay? Because if you were to think, oh, it's abrogated, that means the second part is also abrogated. That means even the person who's fasting and on a journey, they also have to fast. No, Allah clarifies, no. As for that, it's still applicable. Meaning, people who are sick or on a journey, they still get to have that relaxation. Okay? So it's just to clarify that this part of the ruling has not been abrogated. And the beautiful, beautiful part that Allah says about this whole concept of fasting, that Allah actually wants ease for us. He wants ease for you. وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ, and He does not want difficulty for us. So if I were to think about fasting, and I'd be like, well, imagine you're fasting in the middle of summer and so many hours and you're thirsty. That sounds pretty difficult to me. How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say here, He wants ease for us? How do we understand that? Isn't it difficult? Isn't fasting difficult? I actually have a story. My boss, my previous manager, she, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide her to Islam. She's a Christian and she wanted to try out fasting, right? So she approached me and she said, she was very intrigued by the whole thing. And she's like, I want to fast. I want to try fasting. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Let's, we can try it. And I just told her like what the rules are and stuff. And she tried it for one day. And subhanAllah, like I think halfway through the day, she broke her fast. And she's like, this is way too difficult. I don't know how you guys do it, right? And she's like, I had to get my coffee. I was getting a headache and this and that. I was like, yep. SubhanAllah. I was like, this is so amazing. It's amazing, wallahi, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us to be able to do it even. It is definitely from His blessing that we are able to manage it. But still, it is a difficult thing. It's not like that easy. So, how does Allah want ease for us? How does Allah want ease for us?
By making it possible despite it being difficult.
Okay. Okay, sure. That could be one of the understandings. What else? I want you to think. Yep.
So in the case of your boss who, what it is our bad habits of having caffeine in the morning and so forth. So initially it is difficult, but after some time, then it filters it out, this caffeine from our body. And so then it's made possible for you to fast the whole day without intaking lots of caffeine, which before then you thought, no, I need it to keep going, but you actually don't.
Okay. Definitely that's true. But how do we apply that to this ayah, Yani?
Isn't it that uh, for the sick people and the who are traveling, Allah make easy for them. Because
Very
even
good.
if you're sick, if you need to fast, it's not so easy. Allah make it.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. That is definitely part of it. That if you look at these exceptions that Allah has made, it's also to make our life easier, right? Because He knows our situations vary, right? We're in different situations. Either we're traveling, we're home, we're sick, whatever. Allah wants ease for you. He's not going to make things difficult just for the sake of it, you know? He understands your scenarios. He understands your situation. So He has granted us ways out, right? And in order that we still be able to obey Him, but not in the same way if we're in a difficult situation or circumstances. And we know person who's terminally ill, those who are elderly, they don't even have to fast, subhanallah. So that is definitely part of it, right? That Allah has made the laws manageable. Okay, He's made them manageable. We can actually do them, right? Yes, there's a challenge. Yes, there's a challenge, but it is not impossible. And the challenge is there to build us, to train us. It's like that horse where our stamina is developing. Yes, there's a bit of difficulty in the beginning, but it's not a difficulty that we can't handle, right? And throughout the fasting, Allah does make it easy. Like, how is it possible? Like, the entire Muslim Ummah, right? Inshallah, everybody, like, when we fast, it's like you barely even notice it sometimes. Like, you just go through the day and you're like, oh, I know it's sometimes difficult for certain people, but overall, generally, for like a healthy, normal, like adult, you will barely notice it, right? Maybe in the first day you might notice it, but after that, it's just a breeze. So Allah does make it easy for you. He actually makes the ibadah easy for you. And of course, also the meaning that He's going to make things easy for you as a result of fasting, right? As a result, too, like in the akhirah, the rewards and the ease that you will be getting because of your fasting, the protection in the grave that you will be getting because of your fasting, all of this is ease. SubhanAllah. So we have to look at it from a larger lens. The small difficulty or the small challenge is not the difficulty that Allah subhanahu is referring to here. Right? وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. And now the objectives of this fasting. وَلِتُكْمِلُ الْعِدَّةَ. Okay, so that He wants you to complete the prescribed period. Okay, because completing the prescribed period allows us to tap in to the full benefits of this month, full benefits of fasting, full benefits of capitalizing on the rewards. And it's for you, it's for us. وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. And again, back to that guidance again, so that you may glorify, magnify Allah's greatness for what He has guided you to, subhanAllah. Right? It's all about this guidance, all about this Quran, that we can realize the blessing of this. This entire month is possible. This entire month of us gaining endless rewards is possible only because of this guidance that Allah has sent down in this month. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. And so that you may be thankful for it.
This reminded me, sorry to say,
Yeah.
there was a Jewish man who approached Umar radiallahu anhu and said there's an ayah in the Quran that if we had this in our religion, we would have it as a day of celebration, and which is the ayah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He has completed this religion. But subhanAllah, if we look here, Allah revealed His Quran, His book, as a guidance, but He didn't make it a day of celebration, but rather a whole month of glorification. He gave us a whole month to celebrate this divine revelation and guidance.
I love it. Beautiful. MashaAllah. And we don't actually value it as it is, right? So He's, as you said, given a whole month for us to think about this, right? And actually value it for what it is. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. This is better than anything that you have in this dunya. Nothing compares. But we don't even realize that. SubhanAllah. So this month makes us, at least tries to makes us realize that. Tukabbirullah. Why do we need to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Specifically takbir. Why takbir? What does takbir do? Why do we need to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's magnificence and greatness? at the end of this month. And if you realize in Eid, it's the sunnah to do the takbirat, right? So that is part of it. But Yani, what is the significance of takbir here? When we do takbir, what are we doing?
We're glorifying Allah that He guided us to this path.
Okay, what is takbir?
Praising and glorification, proclaiming the glory in the supremeness of Allah.
Beautiful. I love it. I like that. Proclaiming the supremeness of Allah. Yes. Takbir is from kaf ba ra, right? To make something big, right? Kabir, you've heard of that. Kabbara, to make something else big. Okay? So when we takbir, when we glorify Allah, we are saying, Allah, you are the greatest, you are the biggest, you are the most supreme, the most magnificent, the most important. That means by default, what are we saying? We are not that, right? It's you who are the greatest. I am not great, right? It is a word, it is an ibadah of humility, okay? So as we leave this month, we are celebrating, we're rejoicing for the blessings and everything, but we also have to realize that it is Allah who has given this to us. If we've been able to achieve anything, it is not from ourselves. It is because of Allah's greatness that this has been made possible, right? So at the end of every ibadah, we have to always express our humility before Allah. That He is the one who's blessed us, He's the one who's guided us, He's the one who's enabled us. It is not from me that all of this has been possible. You might read like 10 khatmas of the Quran. You might be fasting day and night. You might be serving your family. You might be, staying up all night, right? In ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not think for a second you are the one who made this possible. Do not think that you did this. It is Allah who enabled us to do it, right? To declare His glory, His greatness is to recognize your own humility and shortcomings before Him, right? And this is the sunnah of ending any act of worship, right? As we say in the salah, after we finish the salah, we say astaghfirullah, right? Why we just obeyed Allah? Why are we seeking forgiveness? It is because of our shortcomings. We have not been able to do this without His help, and we are completely and constantly in need of His mercy and His guidance. So we are at fault, always recognizing your situation as abd in front of Him. And so this is why we glorify Him. Okay, as the Prophet ﷺ, when he entered Mecca, right after the Fath, the conquering of Mecca, how did he enter? He entered with his head lowered on his camel, right, or his ride. His head was so low that his beard was touching the back of the animal, meaning he was in a state of humility for this great achievement. No achievement is possible except by Allah's permission, His grace, His bounty on us. And all of this accumulates into the last reason that we fast, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so we realize the magnificence of these blessings and we thank the one who gave it to us. Okay, so we need to use all of these things as litmus tests after and during our fasts. Am I increasing in taqwa? Is my consciousness and mindfulness increasing in my daily life as a result of fasting? Am I increasing in my humility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Am I increasing in my gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? These are the objectives of fasting. Okay. Any comments or any reflections that you all have about any of these ayat that we covered today?
I just want to add something, reflection, I guess, from this. So when we meet somebody, like a new friend or somebody, we get to know this person slowly, their habits and good habits, but we often don't know ourselves, like how we are. And I think the month of Ramadan is a time where we get to kind of know ourselves, like observe, make a sort of, kind of look into depth, how our habits or how we are like. It's like your nafs, you get to know yourself more at that time. Maybe when there's no Ramadan, when there's not Ramadan, you're more sort of, very angry or something like that. But during Ramadan, your anger is sort of softens down, or for your forgiveness, your kindness increases, So it's like, I think our true characteristic comes out during Ramadan. And if it's not a good one, then you have to think about, okay, we have to work on that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like it's getting to know yourself more. It's like your inner self, your soul, basically, So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Beautiful, mashallah. Great. Jazakallah khair.
Can I say a couple of things?
You wanted to add? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So with regards to taqwa, I was just thinking now, of course, we've spoken about that the objective of fasting is to gain taqwa. So you find that a lot of times when we ask the youngsters, they actually don't know what the objective of fasting is. And I think we need to speak to our children more, because one of the common answers you'll get is to sort of empathize with the poor.
Yeah.
That's one of the most common ones. So I think it's really important that they know the true reason of fasting. And here I think it's noted is, of course, is to have more taqwa of Allah, but also it's Allah has given us fasting so that it is a way, or it's a way of showing our gratitude to Allah for this divine guidance. So all this month we're fasting, we're in a state of fasting, is to sort of humility from us, because we have been given this great bounty and gift from Allah. So I was trying to link that with the Prophet ﷺ, how he would fast Mondays and Thursdays, right? Why? Because our deeds are taken up, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he would be like, he was like, when he was asked why he does that, he said it's because he wants to be in the state of fasting whilst his deeds go up. So we know as well in this month, our deeds are yearly deeds, right? It's going up, the Laylatul Qadr. So we're in the best of state. Not only are we nourishing ourselves with taqwa, physically, spiritually, but it's a whole month of sort of gratitude. And this is where it comes, وَلِتُكَبِّرُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. This is a way of glorifying Allah's greatness for this enormous bounty. That's what I want to add. Yeah. So I had something else in mind. The other thing I was thinking about fasting the other day, and I was saying, you know how it's month of Rajab and we are and the short days. So we are all sort of, some of us are making up our mistakes, taking this opportunity, also taking benefit from the short days, trying to get used to the coming month, the Ramadan, and also the reward. And subhanAllah, how even fasting 3 days together, the white days, how it becomes so difficult because you're doing it alone, right? So we, alhamdulillah, we fast as a family, but when you fast as a family, it becomes so much easier. So my children are saying, oh, it's so nice when we all fast together, because it's so much higher doing it alone when you see everyone else is eating. And I was thinking, subhanAllah, I was speaking about, I was saying, had Allah not made it an obligation, we would never have fasted. So the previous ayah was abrogated because Allah gave us the choice then. But had Allah not given us the choice, we are such lazy by nature, we would never have done this. So this is why some might think it's so hard, but subhanAllah, making an obligation, it unites us as an ummah, and we're doing something together as an ummah, which is just, I don't know, there's just something in the air that everyone, subhanAllah, it's like, I don't think that any other faith has anything that they do in unity.
True.
So it's just so unique to Islam, and as a result, this is also easier because an obligation and a communal obligation. So that's the ease there as well. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ. That's what I wanted to add.
Beautiful, lovely, mashallah, jazakallah khair. Great points. Yeah, Mawadda, تفضلي.
Um, I guess Sister Hasina just touched on it, but I just had something to add as kind of like an answer to your question from earlier about when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says yuridu bikum al-yusra, yuridu Allah bikum al-yusra wa la yuridu bikum al-usra, like where is that ease? Like what could that essentially be about? And I feel like similar to what Sister Hasina said, like the ease is in the simple fact that the act of worship of Siyam has been made an obligation on us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as opposed to it being optional like it was before the command was abrogated. And subhanallah, like it just makes you think about like how beautiful it is that like the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are like chosen and curated so perfectly with such care that they like prioritize our needs as people who have like made the choice towards iman, and then they also take into account like our weaknesses that can essentially get in the way of our ability to accomplish those goals that we set for ourselves towards iman. Like if we're choosing iman, then essentially we're choosing jannah for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But being able to get to jannah requires taqwa. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only gives us like the means of being able to develop taqwa, but He gives us more than that. Like He makes that means an obligation on us, because if He didn't, then we would essentially, similar to how Sister Hasina said, like we would just be left to the mercy of, you know, our own nafs and our limited knowledge and our desires and just like weak self-discipline, and likely we would also be from the people who would opt out of that act of worship and essentially like lose out on the benefit of the act of worship.
Amazing.
So subhanallah, it's like it's from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that fasting was made an obligation on us in order not to deprive us from the benefit that comes from partaking in that act of worship.
Amazing. Beautiful. Lovely. That is so true. Jazakallah khair. Amazing reflection, mashallah. I think Amara had her hand up earlier too. Amara, did you want to add anything?
Sorry. I was just I don't know if I came late, so I apologize if this is a repetition. But I was just looking at the scientific piece of it. So when we fast, our body like automatically it activates the system that gets rid of recycled and damaged proteins and any sort of cell pieces that are like damaged and actually causing your body harm. So it like activates the cellular housekeeping essentially of your body. So it starts to like unravel all the bad things that are in your body. So kind of gets rid of it. And then you also have like insulin balance, like people that have diabetes or just like insulin spikes in general, like it starts to maintain that. So it's moving towards a healthier version of yourself. So that also in itself is ease because you're kind of factory resetting your body physically, and it makes it easy for you to do your worship and also all your long-term ibadah, because everything you eat, everything you do, you're kind of investing in your future version of yourself at the same time. So just looking at from the scientific piece, I don't know if you guys mentioned it already, but it's basically resetting your whole body. So that's the ease in itself.
Amazing. Lovely. So not just spiritual refinement, but physical as well. That's amazing. Allahumma barik. No, we didn't mention it. That's halal, Vicky. Okay, any final comments? These are really important things to discuss, especially since Ramadan is around the corner. But yeah, any other final things that anyone want to share? All right, barakallahu fikunna, sisters. It was a lovely discussion, as always. Sis Halima says, I have to be really careful at this point because my non-Muslim family will praise me for fasting for health benefits. I have to stay clear and intentional about it. Absolutely, yeah, for sure. But you can slightly nudge them towards the benefits of it yourself as a means of guidance for them, inshallah. Allahumma balighna Ramadan. Yes, ameen ya Rabb. All right, subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.